Hello, everybody, and today I know that everyone is probably still thinking about the 2020 election and thinking about, what happened, looking at what happened, the trends, and turnout. But today I decided and I'm going to cover the 2020 election, but I decided that basically going to do a 2024 election prediction between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. This is assuming Trump runs for re-election. Um, in 2024, I guess not re-election at the time, I guess to be re-elected from the previous 4 years, and then Kamala Harris continues the Biden administration. Biden has indicated that he probably will not run for a second term. Um, but if you look at the questions during the debate, he basically said he wasn't sure. He'll look at it at the time. And it doesn't really look like he's planning on having a second term, but this is just a Trump versus Harris prediction. I'll probably do a Pence versus Harris, a Pence versus Biden, a Trump versus Biden, but we are going to do this prediction. So let's get right to it. And I'm not going to be super crazy about everything, but I'm going to make the prediction anyway. So, and this is with my brain right after the election, so it probably will change in a few years, but this is just basically off of the results of the election. Now, I know this thing spins around a lot, which is a bit weird. Oh, I bet I did Nebraska's second. I need to do Nebraska. There you go. Arkansas, and then I'm characterizing Missouri and Indiana. um, they are pretty safe for Republicans in the future, what it's looking like. And I characterize Montana. I'll characterize Alaska as well. And that's going to be about it, 111 electoral votes. And then for the Democrats, California, Washington, Illinois, New York, I'll characterize. I'm pretty much going to do. I'm not going to do with Connecticut. Not exactly yet, because I didn't do South Carolina and some other Republican states. Okay, 164 to 111, obviously. Oh, and Hawaii. The Democrat does have a pretty significant advantage. This in the 2020 election with electoral votes. But let's get to likely Republican states. That's going to be Iowa, and that's going to be Ohio. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about West Virginia as well. Iowa, Ohio, and Maine's 2nd congressional district are all likely Republican states. I just don't see them going. I mean, Trump won Iowa and Ohio by 8 points each this election. They have not shifted any way blue. And I just don't think that they will shift blue, especially with Kamala Harris at the head of the ticket against Trump. Trump continues to have the farming appeal, still won these states by very significant margins, even though it looking like he did lose the election. But, and then this is obviously with the updated electoral votes for each state. I see them going likely, as well as South Carolina going likely Republican. And I know I'm using this YAP map. This is the one probably with the best thing so far. So now likely Democrat states are Oregon and Connecticut. They could be characterized as safe. I just don't think. I think that they will shift back more red next election. Also, Colorado and Virginia are all going to be likely Democrat states. I am actually not going to characterize New Mexico yet. I do think that it is a little bit actually more competitive than Colorado based on this election. But Colorado, Trump got pretty much destroyed, and it's not looking very good for him in Colorado in the future. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, this is Kamala Harris running, not Joe Biden. I still think that she will do pretty good in Colorado and Virginia. And let's go back to lean Republican states. I'm going to go with North Carolina is a lean Republican state. Trump won it by around 1.3 points. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about Maine's 1st district, whatever. That's likely. Yes, Florida, I mean, not North Carolina is likely or lean. Obviously, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, as I made predictions since June now, that it has a higher proportion of Republicans than Democrats, which is why Trump still won it, even though he lost some points. I still see it going like lean. Same with Florida. Trump is doing very well in Florida, as well as Republicans in honestly the last 4 elections. Since 2014, Republicans have been doing very good in Florida. Uh, Trump won it by 1.2 in against Clinton, which is not a lot, but he still won it. And then in 2018, in the midterms, Ron DeSantis, and this is supposed to be a Democrat wave year, remember, Ron DeSantis won the governorship there still. And they flipped a Senate seat, even during a, quote, Democrat wave year. And then this election, Trump won Florida by 3.5 points. So that is gaining with Cubans and Venezuelan voters and Colombian voters and a few other South American voters. So it's not looking so good for them and Puerto Ricans. So 207 for the Democrats, 195. We have not gotten to the lean states, though, for the Democrats. So lean Democrat states. I'm going to go with New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada, all lean Democrat states. Arizona shifting pretty quickly to the Democrats. It actually did not go. It went by 0.3 this election's looking like, so that's actually very, very close. If Trump does gain with Hispanic voters again this election, it could be more competitive and Trump could re-get it. I just don't see that happening with the current changes in the demographics. And I see Kamala Harris still taking this section of America, really gaining on it. If you remember, George Bush won essentially Nevada, all of this, and then Trump kept Arizona, Republicans kept Arizona, but Obama won some of this, and now it's continuing to go blue. Eventually, Texas will probably get there. Okay, so lean, let's see. Okay, yeah, Nebraska, 2nd Congressional District. Actually, I'm not going to characterize that yet. Okay, shoot, my bad. I don't know what I did. I have to do this back to toss-up. Then this is a Republican. Okay. I'm not going to characterize Nebraska second. I do think that was just a Joe Biden district that he did pretty good in, given the circumstances. Democrats gaining with suburban women. However, Kamala Harris is still a different candidate than Joe Biden, and I honestly don't think that she's going to gain with blacks support. I think she could lose with some black support, especially since we'll see what happens with the Biden administration. Usually, incumbents now tend to lose electoral votes. Obviously, Trump lost the election, it's looking like. Obama lost electoral votes. Bush barely gained some. So, right now, it is a path of losing, excuse me, electoral votes. Actually, I wasn't done with lean Democrat. I'm going to do Maine at large as a lean Democrat. I do think the Democrats still have a pretty strong hold on Maine, not the 2nd Congressional District, but at large. Now, I could characterize some of these swing states, but I'm not going to. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that yet. So let's go with lean or tilt Republican states, and that's going to be Texas is going to tilt to Trump. He still won it this election. It is shifting blue. Obviously, if you look at the trends, I see Trump probably winning Texas by maybe 2 points to 1 to 3 points, possibly in Texas. Just not the margins that Republicans have been winning in the past. It'll probably flip either in 2028 or 2032, but eventually it will. It could still be characterized as lean, but I'll characterize it as tilt for Trump. Okay, so now let's do tilt Democrat, but I'm kind of probably going to flip off and on with these states. So Georgia, I see tilting Democrat. It has shifted Democrat. Biden won at this election. Kamala Harris, I see continuing that streak. Same with Nebraska 2nd Congressional District, gaining with suburban women. Obviously, that's a suburban area in Nebraska, the one suburban area. And the Democrats holding on to that district. That's at 249 now. I also see Kamala Harris keeping Minnesota, which has stayed with the Democrats since, I think since like Richard Nixon won, which was like in the 1968 or something. So definitely, I still see it keeping its Democrat identity. Biden won it pretty big this election. I do see that lead narrowing up again. But if you look at the rest of the Rust Belt, which is what Trump won by in 2016 with, has shifted more Republican in the past years. Biden was able to flip these 3 states back this election. However, this is nowhere close to the margins that Barack Obama won the election. So it has been shifting Republican, which is why, especially since this is going to be I guess you could say, quote, referendum of the party of the presidential party. if the president is not doing good at the time. So what I do see happening, especially in this Rust Belt area, is I see Trump tilting Wisconsin. I think that's tilt. I'm a bit colorblind. And tilting Minnesota Republican. So what the election is honestly going to come down to is it's going to come down to Michigan. So honestly, this is actually a harder map for Republicans to win on, especially since the Democrats won Georgia. 15 electoral votes from Michigan, and I see that barely going to Trump. Now, obviously, this is a prediction that, I mean, is probably going to change a lot. I could have Harris winning, depending on who's the nominee. Right now, I see this happening. I'm just looking at the trends. I know Biden just won, so everyone's in the mindset that, okay, Biden, he's probably going to win again. That's honestly what was happening in 2016 when Trump won. I don't know what's happening here. But I honestly see a Republican retaking the presidency. I see Trump retaking it. I do think he'll run again if he ends up losing this election. And I do think he will narrowly edge out the election. It is a changing electorate. When you look at it, you would never have suspected that Georgia would be blue, Arizona would be blue, Colorado would be likely blue. These are things that have shifted pretty quickly over the past few years to the Democrats. So I'm just going to characterize the whole map so that you guys can see it. But these are all states that have shifted pretty quickly to the Democrats. Eventually, they could probably get a Texas. Obviously, looking at that, that is a definitely very, very weird map, and we're not all used to that yet. But it is kind of cool to look at the possible scenarios, especially in Texas and across the United States, which is a bit cool. So let's take a look. I'll take a look at all the scenarios right before I finish the video, because why not? There we go. 280 to 258. So this is what it could look like eventually, with Texas going blue and South Carolina eventually going blue. That's 308 for the Democrats. Trump getting, excuse me, Minnesota in the future. Also getting New Hampshire. A lot of this industrial appeal and Maine at large. Obviously, that's a Democrat win, but we don't know what other states could be competitive in the future. I guess I'm just going a little bit too far when I characterize South Carolina, but when you think of this, this is honestly what it's going to look like in the future. The Rust Belt shifting Republican and the South shifting Democrat. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my 2024 election prediction. I'm probably going to come out with a few more videos going over the demographic changes in voting from the 2020 election, which I always enjoy looking at. I think it gives a good indicator of how elections are going to go in the future. And I'm going to be interested in looking at that. I'll probably come out with a few more 2024 election predictions, just being, I guess, a little bit creative. I don't know, we could do a Ben Carson with a Republican, Mike Pompeo, Mike Pence, Kayleigh McEnany, Nikki Haley. And then for the Democrats, you could do Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg. I don't think Bernie Sanders would run again. Maybe an Elizabeth Warren or somebody else, Michelle Obama possibly. So there's definitely a lot of things and people that you can come up with making these maps. I don't really see it mattering at the moment who the nominee is for the Democrats or the Republicans. Now, I understand if Bernie Sanders was the nominee for the Democrats, I do think that they would have lost pretty handily this election. I don't think that Bernie was the guy for them. Not Colorado. The election probably wouldn't have gone out well for the Democrats. It probably looked something like this, 324, which was my prediction anyway. Oh, there's Maine's district. Okay. Well, I didn't know I characterized that as red. Okay, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please subscribe for more videos. I'm at around 69 subscribers, so if we could get to 70, that'd be awesome. It kind of went up and then down and then up and then down. But if you guys are interested in subscribing, that's awesome. I had like a little bit of a cold, so my voice sounds a little bit weird right now. But hopefully, it'll be better next video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I've said this multiple times, and make sure to subscribe for more videos. Have a nice day.